All right. So what I want to talk about, right? This is the base topic, base reason for this video, right? All right, what I want to talk about is um Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring Night Rain dropped. I think it's been probably like 3 weeks, maybe a month since Elden Ring Night Rain dropped. I don't know. Most people has most people have beaten the game or have beaten all the bosses in the game because it took me like 2 hours to get matchmaking, and I still didn't even get the matchmaking. One person came in, then they left, so it's hard for me to get matchmaking at the moment. I did a solo run, lasted day one, died at day two, so I don't know how I'm gonna go from there. But I did just beat the base game, Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring, the base game. I just completed it for the first time ever. I say 90% blind, 90% blind, right? It was a couple things. I think Ronnie's quest line, I was lost on there. It was like two optional bosses. I didn't know where to go. And it was something else. I can't remember right now. I'm perplexed. But, and I'm on my first playthrough ever of Shadow of the Earth Tree. So far, it's kind of rubbed me the wrong way, not because of the difficulty, but because of like the fragments everywhere, so I can deal damage and take damage negation or whatever. So it's like fragments spread it all over the place, and I need to find those so I'm able to deal damage or whatever. I don't know. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time off because I've been playing Elden Ring for like a month straight just to complete the game. Fought like so many bosses, fought as many optional bosses as I can, went into many like dungeons or whatever they're called, like the little caves or whatever. We did as much as I can, fought the game, beat the game. We did Ronnie's quest line. I guess at the end of the game, after Radagon and Elden Beast, we spawned Ronnie, we summoned Ronnie, then she fucking put us under the fucking infinite fucking it was like the fucking Naruto shit, right? The infinite Tsukunomi, right? It was like the Tsukunami under the moonlight or whatever. That was cool. But the whole point of the video is, right, for people who probably just played Night Ring for the first time. They're probably playing Elden Ring for the first time. Or maybe people who want to play Elden Ring, but they probably just like, I don't know if I want to yet, or these games aren't really for me or whatever. I say, right, this is my personal opinion for people who want to play Elden Ring. Don't play Elden Ring, right? It sounds crazy. I know I know. Whoa, slow down. Don't play Elden Ring, bro. Play Dark Souls. Start off with Dark Souls, right? You can play Demon Souls if you want to. I personally don't recommend it because I think Demon Souls was one of the first ones I started with. Like the PS5 came out, then they remastered it or whatever. Souls is what I started out with. I personally really didn't like it. I don't know. I really just don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about Demon Souls, right? I'm like halfway through Demon Souls. I had just put the game down and I started playing Dark Souls, right? In Dark Souls, I completed Dark Souls. I completed the DLC, right? So that's why I say start off with Dark Souls, right? So you start off with Dark Souls. You're gonna die, right? You're gonna die. It's inevitable, right? Especially your first time playing, right? I don't think nobody's a god when they first touch the keyboard and mouse or the sticks or whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever you're playing with, whatever platform, right? You're gonna die. It's inevitable. Play Dark Souls, right? And then, like, I'm talking about if you never played a FromSoft game before, play Dark Souls. Play Dark Souls 2. Play Dark Souls 2 because when I first played Dark Souls and then I went into Dark Souls 2, I had loved Dark Souls 2. I loved it. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is so good. I was like, people hate this. I was like, people hate it. I love it. I love Dark Souls 2. The DLC, everything. I loved it. But then I played Dark Souls 3. And then I played the DLC of Dark Souls 3. And I was like, okay. I understand. I was like, I understand it now. I get it. Right? So you can play. I'm talking about people who've never touched a FromSoft game, never played a Souls-like game ever. Play Dark Souls 1. Play Dark Souls 2. Ease your way into Dark Souls 3. The pace is going to change. The pace is going to change. It gets a little faster. It's kind of like delayed attacks, so it's going to prepare you for Elden Ring. Delayed attacks are kind of there. So play Dark Souls 3, right? And if you want to switch it up, if you really want to get your feet wet, right? If you really want to get your feet wet and get knee deep, I'll say switch to Sekiro. I'm gonna throw Sekiro in there first, right? For like after you finish the trilogy of Dark Souls, get into Sekiro, right? Because the combat's going to change, the meta's going to change, everything's going to change, right? It's going to tweak your mind. Everything you learned in Dark Souls, you kind of put that out the window, right? And then we're going into a new form with Sekiro. After Sekiro, play Bloodborne, right? Because the pace changes as well. A wholly different gameplay, a wholly different pace, right? As far as like the rally mechanic and dodging and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? You're not really roll dodging. You're kind of like, you know what I'm saying? You're kind of like weaving. You're kind of stepping back and, you know, weaving, bobbing and weaving and stuff like that in Bloodborne. You know what I'm saying? Or you can do either of the two. You could go Bloodborne, then Sekiro. You could go Sekiro, then Bloodborne, right? After you complete those, then you can step into Elden Ring, right? Step into Elden Ring then, because, and the reason I say this, right, it's not because of like the years the game came out or nothing like that. It's really the evolution of the bosses, right? Some of these bosses, even the most basic bosses, right? Like Tree Sentinel, right? People played Elden Ring. Everybody who's played Elden Ring, the first thing you encounter is the Tree Sentinel. Everybody. I don't think there's one person who's like, oh, I didn't see Tree Sentinel. I didn't even see him. You were blind. The Tree Sentinel's right there. The Tree Sentinel is honestly like a boss that like, the Tree Sentinel could be like a mid-game or in-game boss in Dark Souls, right? Dark Souls 3. Like he can be an in-game, not in-game. Well, he could be in-game, in-game or mid-game, because he's not really like that tough, right? If you think about it, it's just how much damage he's dealing, how much damage you're not doing. But he's not really that tough, right? When you're damaging, Tree Sentinel, right? And then you got it was one boss. I don't remember the name of the motherfucker, but I think he was in Norcom. I think he was in the Eternal City. I can't remember. Or I think it was like when you first discover the Eternal City. So you go through the Mist Woods and you can get that elevator and you go down. I think like after you just discover most of that area, it's one boss like he had like lightning attacks and he jumped in the air and it was like lightning sparking and dashing and he came down and all some other, it was some crazy shit. Like it was crazy. And then like Rykard, it's like the second phase of Rykard when all the skulls are coming down on you or whatever. I was like, yo, this is insane. Like mid fight, I'm just looking at my screen like, this is insane. Like this is crazy. It's marvelous. It's good. It's beautiful, right? Everything is beautiful about it. Moog is cool. Right, not the Omen Moog, but like Moog, even Margit, like when you first meet and run into him, like he's coming at you or whatever. Then you got Morgott, and they're coming at you, and you got Melania. We're not going to speak of Melania. Fuck it, Melania. She's so good, and it's crazy because it's like people are like, oh, second phase, but then you realize, right? As many as times as you fight Melania, especially like if you have like the proper build and you're doing like proper damage, the first phase is easy. Like the first phase is low key easy, right? I mean, of course, like what is easy, right? Easy is when you're not getting hit, right? When you can do like when you're barely getting hit, she's barely, you know what I'm saying? She's barely touched you, and then you learned like you done timed every attack, you know every move, you know what she's going to do next, you know what's coming, you know what I'm saying? And then you go into the second phase, and then boom, 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 bop, whatever, right? I say that because the bosses of Elden Ring, right? The bosses in Elden Ring, they're so great and they're so massive and they're so just like, I ain't gonna say well put together because they do have some flaws, but they're so massive that somebody who's playing Elden Ring, and then you're like, oh, I want more FromSoft, right? You probably did Elden Ring, Shadow Urge, or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want more FromSoft. What else does FromSoft have? What else is going on? And then you're like, oh, Dark Souls, and then you play Dark Souls 1, and then it's like, compared to that, it's like Seek to Scaleless is a joke, right? Seek is a joke, right? Even Artorias, right? Even he's a joke, right? It's a joke. Right? Especially Dark Souls 2. You go into Dark Souls 2, it's like, oh, this is a joke. Right? Going to Dark Souls 3, probably like, who can I think about from Dark Souls 3? Manus? Not Manus. Dancer, maybe Dancer. Or maybe even Gale, right? Gale might seem like, oh, this guy's a joke, right? Compared to Elden Ring bosses. Right? If you want to do the comparisons from somebody who is went through the trials and tribulations of Elden Ring, and they come into the Dark Souls trilogy, or even like the Bloodborne, especially Bloodborne. And I'm not saying Bloodborne's easy, I'm not saying Bloodborne's whatever. I'm just saying, like, some of the bosses, you might look at them and be like, yo, these are scrubs, these are jokes. What is this, right? Sekiro, I ain't gonna lie, Sekiro makes you respect it. If you don't respect the mechanics of Sekiro, if you don't respect the deflecting and what the game is teaching you, then they gonna make you respect it. Father Owl, Awakened Father Owl, Real Father Owl, Lord Ishin Saint, right? The Sword Saint, they gonna make you respect it, right? Even first Genichiro with the 2 phases, right? They gonna make you respect it. You all gonna respect the Sekiro. And that's why it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. It's top 3 for me. It's top 3 for sure. Elden Ring is in top 3. Elden Ring is in top 3. And then I gotta trickle it down, right? There's only like what, seven basic games, right? And then with the hype of Night Rain coming out, you know what I mean? It's like maybe people are trying Night Rain for the first time. And they're like, oh, this is what Elden Ring is all about. Oh, let me try this, blah, blah, blah. So it's all like, but if you've never played Elden Ring, my solely advice, somebody who's played all the games, right? Someone who's played all the games, touched all these games, experienced all these games, play Dark Souls 1 and then work your way up. It's going, honestly, I feel like it's going to feel so much better. And play blind. Because if you really like the game, your first playthrough, it may not be what you expected or what you wanted. But if you really like the game, you're going to play it again. I think I played probably Dark Souls 1 probably like, what, 4 times. And that doesn't seem like a lot for people who honestly like love the game. But I played it like a handful of times. Bloodborne, I had beat 3 times in one run. Like, I just was back to back. Every time I like back to back, did every ending. Sekiro, I play Sekiro countless of times. Like, I just love it. Dark Souls 2, I'm on my second playthrough of DS3, but I had just stopped. I was at Sister Freed. I got to the 3rd phase. She killed me. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll play whatever. I got other games to play. I was like, whatever. I'll play it again, whatever. Dark Souls 2, I've only played Dark Souls 2 once, but that's because, like, come on, it's Dark Souls 2. Like, when you play Dark Souls 2 and then you play all these other games, you realize why it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand. But that's just the evolution of the bosses, right? The mechanics, how FromSoft is, how these bosses are evolving, and the mechanics of these bosses and their attack patterns and stuff like that, and what they can do and what they're capable of. It really evolves through, you know what I'm saying, the year, what 2009 was Demon Souls. So I think 2011 was Dark Souls. I can't remember. But yeah, I think 2011 was Dark Souls. So 2011 all the way to like 2022 when Elden Ring came out, it's like the evolution, right? It you can see it. You can literally see it in first person in 1 year. You can see it in first person in 1 year, depending on how it is, right? It may take you some time because gank fights, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, I feel like Elden Ring does gank fights the best. I think Dark Souls 1, I think Dark Souls 2 wasn't that bad. I don't remember no gank fights in DS3. I think there's one. I think it's in the DLC. Bloodborne, Shadows of Uranum. Sekiro, they don't really have gang fights. They'll throw like 2 enemies at you when there's one real boss, but that's nothing. You can just kill that guy or fucking whatever. Elden Ring does gang fights the best. I don't think there was one gang fight that I was like, I felt overwhelmed. Because I usually feel overwhelmed and I put the game down for a while just to get back into the gang fight. But Elden Ring, the gang fights they're honestly pretty good. They're honestly pretty good. I don't know what it is about them. And I think by the time I got to Elden Ring, like all my shivers, because I usually like, when I get to like a hard boss and like, I'm like low-key like struggling with it, I'm like, I start to like shiver or I start to like get like chills or something. I didn't get that at all. The most I got was like a little bit of heart pumping. Like the heart was pumping, the blood was pumping, whatever. But other than that, there's nothing about it. But that's about it. That's about it. All right, man. It's your boy Lion to the Diner. We'll see you next time, baby. Already.